Greetings everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. We are back again with more Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. This time I want to walk through the companions that have been released thus far for the game. This is not the full list of party members that will be available at full release, but there's enough here to see that this will be a group that's a lot of fun to play with. If there's other content you are looking for regarding the game, please let me know in a comment down below. The first party member is Abelard Werserian. He was a member of the Imperial Navy until being recruited by Theodora von Valancius, your rogue trader predecessor. He served both her and now you in the role of Seneschal, which is essentially a rogue trader's right hand and the person who handles the day-to-day operations. Abelard served Theodora for decades and does not want to see the trade empire she worked so hard to build crumble into dust. Consequently, he has a deep personal stake in seeing you do well. This makes him very loyal to you, but it also means he has a low tolerance for seeing any form of weakness in your leadership. Abelard is not at all afraid to speak his mind, and sometimes that compels him to converse with you in ways nobody else on the team would. Abelard's starting career or class is Fighter. He has your team's highest commerce skill and will help you get significantly better deals during negotiations. In combat, he serves as your main tank with abilities that allow him to taunt enemies, take less damage, and automatically strike back if he's hit in melee. He also has your team's highest toughness and carouse rankings, which help him resist physical ailments like poison and disease, along with substances. All party members start with one heroic ability that can be used when their momentum is maxed, and they can pick up more of these abilities as they gain advanced careers. Abelard's initial heroic ability is Superior Vigilance. For one turn, he'll reduce all damage by an amount equal to his toughness bonus, and he'll automatically strike back when any enemy hits him in melee combat. This ability will also cause him to guard allies within 3 squares, which makes enemy attacks 50% easier for party members to dodge. If you need a meat shield who can soak up attacks while other characters whittle enemies down, Abelard is a great choice. Next on the list is Idira Tlass. Idira is an unsanctioned psyker, which means she possesses psychic powers that have not been authorized by the Imperium of Man. Theodora recruited Idira from a distant world that was not ruled by the Imperium. The advantage of having Idira is psychic abilities are extremely powerful, both inside of combat to decimate enemies and outside of combat to hear secrets or try to determine your future. The disadvantage is that psykers tap into powers that make them vulnerable to chaos. This means when Idira uses her abilities, she can attract demonic forces when you are out exploring or even on your ship. She is also slowly losing her mind and finding it more difficult to discern between the voices that are real and the ones in her head. Idira has a carefree attitude about all of this and proudly boasts about her self-control that she claims could never be conquered by chaos. Despite this, it's readily apparent that she's a ticking time bomb, and keeping her on the team puts the Rogue Traders company in serious jeopardy. Idira's starting career is Adept. In combat, she can provide your team with massive range damage while also debuffing enemies. I became a huge fan of Lightning Arc, which can hit up to 4 enemies in a 3-cell radius, but must be used carefully because it can also damage party members. This game loves to throw massive groups of enemies at you, and the times where I couldn't find a use for this were extremely rare. Misfortune is another fantastic ability, reducing an enemy's dodge by 40. Her initial heroic ability is an upgraded version of Lightning Arc that does more damage, can hit up to 6 enemies, and it does not impact party members. The disadvantage of using Idira is that her powers can weaken the Veil, which is tracked by the Veil Thickness meter. As Idira and enemies use psyker abilities, the veil between the Materium and Immaterium weakens, which causes a host of different effects up to and including empowering demonic enemies. Despite this drawback, I use Idira extensively and have never regretted unleashing her on the field. Next up is Pasqal Haneumann, who is a member of the Adeptus Mechanicus. This organization of engineers and scientists worship the machine god. oftentimes referred to as the Omnissiah. They are responsible for all of the technology used in the Imperium, and they also hoard knowledge to prevent it from being used by heretics and agents of chaos. They don't just work on technology, they pray for it and perform rituals to repair machinery or lay it to rest. Due to all of this, Pasqal is always interested in acquiring new knowledge and inspecting how machines are being treated by people you meet. He will oftentimes remark that someone has technology they shouldn't have, or that they are misusing some piece of machinery. Pasqal's title is Magos Explorator, which means he is a high-ranking tech priest and responsible for scouring the galaxy in search of knowledge. He has recently been made aware of a schism within the Adeptus Mechanicus that could completely destroy the Imperium, and he is trying to find a way to heal it. In addition, he's received a cryptic message from his mentor and now desperately wants to find him. Pasqal joined Theodore's retinue in the hopes that a powerful patron can help him find the knowledge he seeks. Pasqal's starting career is Adept. He has your party's highest awareness and tech use skills, which make him perfect for picking up traps and opening locked doors or containers. He also has your party's highest Medicae rating, which helps him treat injuries, sickness, and disease. He gets the Medicae Mechanics ability, which lets him heal party members once per combat without using a medkit. Pasqal also gets Study Enemies, which allows him to assess the weak points of several enemies, increasing his damage against them by an amount equal to his intelligence bonus. He can give this bonus to the rest of the party or use it to unlock more options, like Study Defenses, which lets him ignore a portion of the studied enemy's dodge, parry, and absorption until the end of combat. His initial heroic ability is Flash of Insight, which increases his dodge negation, armor penetration, and melee weapon skill against one target. Pasqal is basically a Swiss Army knife, who is fantastic in multiple situations and definitely a boon to my team. Next on the list we have Cassia Orsellio. Cassia is a navigator, which is a group of sanctioned mutants who possess a third eye that allow them to see through warp space. This sight makes faster than light travel possible, and therefore every rogue trader must employ at least one navigator. Cassia has spent all of her life isolated on a restricted access station in endless years of study to prepare for this role. She is very naive and has little knowledge of the outside world. Her studies were meant to continue for a longer period of time, but an incident caused her to be taken outside of her refuge and into Theodore's retinue. She depends on the rogue trader to help shape her perspective on the cultures and people you meet throughout the game. Cassia's starting career is Leader. She has your team's highest lore Imperium stat, which will sometimes provide additional dialogue options. In combat, she can use Lidless Stare, which causes all enemies in a wide cone area to pass a willpower save or become stunned. While stunned, all incoming damage on those enemies is doubled. Most of her other abilities are geared towards empowering your party, such as Bring It Down, which will add more action points for one ally. Her initial heroic ability is Objective Secured, which creates an area that allies have one turn to secure. The first ally attack executed in this area costs no action points and does not trigger weapon cooldowns. If the area is completely secure before Cassia's next turn, then it becomes a stronghold for 5 turns. While in the stronghold, allies' damage is increased by Cassia's fellowship bonus. Armor deflection is increased by her willpower bonus, and all characteristics are increased by double her fellowship bonus. I haven't used Cassia much because my rogue trader is built as a leader as well, so their abilities were too redundant, but she definitely has a nice kit. Next on the list we have Sister Argenta, who is a member of the Adepta Sororitas. Also referred to as the Daughters of the Emperor or Sisters of Battle, these devout women are the militant arm of the Ecclesiarchy, which is the state church of the Imperium. As a child, Argenta witnessed a double Aquila while in battle, which is a sacred symbol of the Imperium, and she interpreted it as a divine sign from the Emperor. Since then, she has devoted her life to military service in the Imperium. She is deeply passionate about this role and holds deep disdain towards anyone she sees as an affront to the Emperor, including heretics, Xenos, and Psychers. She is quick to suggest eliminating such individuals, whether they are potential enemies or even allies within the rogue trader's ranks. During the attack that results in Theodore's death, she proves her valor in battle and remains in the rogue trader's company. Argenta's starting career is Soldier. She specializes in using ranged weapons to decimate foes. She gets the Dash ability, which lets her move at least 3 squares in one direction without provoking an attack of opportunity. She also has War Hymn, which provides extra momentum based on how many enemies are within at least 5 cells of her. This is important because she has what, in my opinion, is the most devastating initial heroic ability your party members get: Military Excellence. This ability immediately restores all action points and removes all cooldowns from your primary weapon. The first attack against each enemy inflicts Righteous Fury, which adds more damage to your attack. You gain extra attacks equal to the weapon's rate of fire without expending action points as long as you use the cheapest option possible. Your hit chance is increased by 20%, and if it's a rapid fire weapon, your recoil is reduced by 25% while the rate of fire increases by 25%. If you are not holding a rapid fire weapon, then damage and armor penetration both increase by 2 until the end of combat. This ability lets her go bananas against enemies, consistently clearing out 5 of them in one turn or doing massive damage to a boss. Sister Argenta is the deadliest member of my team and has a permanent place on the roster. Next, let's talk about Jae Heydari, a member of the Cassia mission, which is a human organized crime syndicate. This group specializes in the cold trade, or rather the sale of forbidden Xenos items. The Imperium of Man strictly forbids contact with Xenos or the use of their technology, which opens the door for people like Jae to profit. She specializes in making deals with enemies of humanity and presents herself as useful to the rogue trader due to her extensive knowledge of all the things the Imperium despises. In use, she sees the chance to align herself with a powerful patron who can provide some degree of protection and opportunity. Despite this mutually beneficial arrangement, she bears no loyalty to the rogue trader, and her past is completely shrouded in mystery. Out of all your party members, Jae is the one who carries herself the most like a pirate. Jae Heydari's starting career is Soldier, and she has a lot of the same abilities that Sister Argenta has, including the same initial heroic ability. That being said, as far as ranged weapon damage, Sister Argenta is superior because her build gives a +2 bonus to armor penetration with bolt weapons, and she starts with a bolter rifle to take full advantage of this. That bolter rifle is superior to the last gun that Jae comes with. It is worth noting that Jae has your party's highest rating in demolition, which is going to let her do significantly more damage with grenades. Grenades are plentiful and extremely powerful in this game, so this is actually a big deal. Despite that, I almost never use Jae, as I prefer the superior firepower Sister Argenta can provide. Quick note before we get into the last 2 party members: if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate you subscribing and hitting the like button. I use this information to tell me what kind of content the community is enjoying, and it helps my videos spread to more people. I really appreciate all of the support. Alright, next on the list is Heinrix van Calox, a sanctioned psyker who is also a member of the Holy Orders of the Imperia's Inquisition. They are a secret police force whose purpose is to identify and destroy threats to the Imperium. Inquisitors are sometimes used to discipline rogue traders who are deemed to have become too heretical. Heinrix is an interrogator, and more specifically, he is a part of the Ordo Xenos, a subdivision of the Inquisition that essentially means he is an alien hunter. Heinrix is also the right hand of Lord Inquisitor Xavier Calcazar, which obviously makes him a very high-ranking member of the Inquisition. He joins Theodora's retinue because his sources believe a new threat to the Imperium is spreading in the Coronis Expanse and is directly tied to the rogue trader. Heinrix has been assigned to the ship not only to eradicate this threat, but also to judge whether or not you are truly a servant of the Emperor. This creates an interesting dynamic in your conversations, as it's clear he is a spy, and yet at the same time, you don't have the power to really do anything about it without risking grave harm to your own interest. Heinrich's starting career is Fighter. Like Abelard, he specializes in melee combat, but has a slightly greater focus on damaging and debuffing enemies instead of just tanking. He also mixes a couple of Psyker abilities into his kit. The Assail ability attempts to knock almost everyone around him prone, while the Telekine Dome reduces damage he will receive from ranged attacks. His initial heroic ability is Daring Breach, which restores all action points, removes all weapon cooldowns, reduces Overwatch and opportunity attacks hit chance against them by 75%, and gives him extra movement points as well. In addition, he can repeatedly use melee weapon attacks this turn, as opposed to other turns where he would only be able to attack once, and those attacks do additional damage equal to his strength bonus. Finally, until the end of combat, Heinrix regains movement points every round that can be used after an attack or ability has been performed. I like using Abelard and Heinrix as my tank and off-tank respectively, with Heinrix marching towards soft targets while Abelard takes on the heavy damage dealers. Last on the list is Yrilet, who is an Aldari, the race of Xenos whose empire at one time dominated the entire known galaxy. 10 millennia ago, the race was so dominant that every one of them was born a powerful psyker, and even after death, their spirits were just reborn in new forms. This all came to a screeching halt when hedonistic practices led to the creation of a new chaos god, and their kind was almost wiped out. Following this cataclysmic event, the Aldari split into 5 subcultures, one of whom is the Craft World Aldari, which Yrilet belongs to. Explaining why she joins your ship would be a spoiler, but suffice to say her people are under attack, and she hopes traveling with you will reveal her enemies and how to stop them. Yrilet's starting career is adept, and she has many of the same abilities as Pasqal, including the same initial heroic ability. Her build emphasizes dodge a little bit more, and she gets the Aldari trait, which lets her increase agility, perception, and awareness characteristics regardless of what class she chooses. This also provides her an additional 15% dodge chance. Yrilet comes with a long rifle and specializes in high damage against long-range targets. She also has your party's largest lower Xeno stat, which can potentially provide more dialogue options. I almost never used her, not only because Pasqal has most of her abilities, but also because this game loves to throw tons of enemies out at one time, so I found party members who specialize in taking out multiple enemies a turn to be more useful than those that target one enemy at a time. Take all of that with a grain of salt though, because I have been playing on normal and will not play on core until we have a relatively bug-free version of this game. That's a full list of the party members available in the Rogue Trader Alpha release. Again, please let me know if there is other content that you are looking for regarding this game. Hope all of you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like, share this content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.